Hello everyone and welcome on the new Coach of Academy Live Guide. I'm Corentin Guinez, driver for Streamers, and today we are on Portimao for the week 10 of the Sports Car Challenge by Falcon Tire. As you can see, we are using the AMG GT4. So as usual at first, we're gonna have a look at the hot lap and then we will drive into different details you have to know before heading into this week 10 of racing. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so we got the hot lap around Portimao, so we are crossing the start finish line and we are right now heading into the first corner. So we're gonna use all of the track on the left hand side, putting the left wheels on the left side of the curbing, and then we're gonna brake, trying to avoid the sausage curb on the inside third gear corner, trying to use as much track as we can on the left, and then we're gonna try to brake quite straight going into this braking, dropping to first, trying to get close to the sausage curb. Now moving to the right, trying to make sure we get this left-hander as straight as possible, especially on top of the crest to make sure we keep the car really stable. Now heading into the hairpin, gonna brake just after the 50 board on the left, on the right, sorry. Dropping to first, trying to make sure we maximize the traction by opening the steering. On the exit, now we're gonna go through the king, driving through the curb. Gonna brake at the beginning of the curb on the left, staying with fourth gear, dropping to third, and then we're gonna bring the car to the curb on the left, trying to make sure we open the steering early, going out of this corner to maximize the traction. Now we're gonna go through this the very fast left-hander. So now braking at the beginning of the curb on the left, trying to make sure we're not bringing the car too deep into the corner, trying to make sure we can get as close as we can from the inside, opening the steering on the exit to maximize traction. Now we're gonna brake before the white line on the right, dropping to first, trying to get close to the curbing, opening the steering early on the exit to maximize traction, braking at the end of the grass on the left, keeping the car to the inside, trying to stay close to the curbing, opening the steering to maximize traction once again, putting the car on the curb on the left, and then we're gonna dive into this last corner, trying to put the car on the curb on the right to maximize the rotation. And as soon as we are facing the exit, trying to bring the car to the outside, and we are just right now crossing the line for the hot lap around Portimao. Alright, so it's now time to go a bit deeper into the explanations. So starting from the start finish line, and as I said, during the hot lap, we are now heading into turn 1, so as you can see, quite a lot of distance. So you are arriving with a lot of speed, and yeah, this corner is really tricky because it's a high commitment corner because you need to carry a lot of speed through this one, but at the same time you cannot carry too much because there is a risk of going wide and getting the off track. And at the same time, if you're, I'm not saying if you are not going fast enough, but if you are not precise on where you are turning in, and obviously the speed is a factor into that, you are going to smash the sausage curb on the inside, and you will most likely get sent out of the track because this curb is quite high. So yeah, at first what I'm doing while going into this first corner is that I'm putting the car on the left side of the curb. So when I say putting the car, it's like just putting the left wheels of the car on the left side of the curb. So as you can see, I'm just basically keeping the right wheels on the track, and then I'm putting the left wheels on the red strip next to the curb. So um, I'm not sure what the track limits are exactly, but I guess if you keep contact with the right wheels on the track, so basically this remains the track, I guess, the white line. So yeah, this is fine, but more than that, I think you're gonna get the off track. So ideally, you wanna do that, but just keep in mind that you need to keep at least two wheels on the track, and that's for the car placement, I would say, on the braking zone. And then as a braking reference, I'm using the 150. So as you can see, 150 is a bit too far to the left in my opinion. So what I'm doing usually is that I'm trying to, when I'm right here, trying to look at the board on the left, and then as soon as I'm getting close, I'm just gonna try to look at the white line, and then I will put my eyes to the apex. But at first, looking at the 150, then moving my eyes to the white line as soon as I'm getting close. Obviously, you don't have much time to react and move your eyes because you are going 250, so it arrives quite quickly, to be fair. And then as soon as I'm on the 150 line, I'm just gonna go on the brake, and then I will just put my eyes to the apex to see where I'm going. So basically, arriving close to the white line. White line is just right here, as you can see, getting close. And then I'm just going on the brake. As you can see, going quite deep on the brakes to carry it straight, so you don't really try to find rotation at that time. But as soon as I'm crossing the 100 line, which is this one, then I'm gonna start to slowly think about steering to the inside. So basically between the two, the 50 and the 100, this is where I'm actually going to turn in, and this is where I'm going to start to release the brake at the same time. As you can see, I'm starting to steer to the right, and I'm slowly releasing the braking pressure to get the rotation. Keep slowing down the car at the same time, so that's why I'm not releasing it completely, because you still need to slow down a bit the car. And then as you can see, just a tiny bit before going for the apex, I'm just gonna go on power. So that's pretty much what you have to do going into this first corner. And as you can see, the idea there is to make sure you don't take this yellow curb. Just like that, it's all perfect. Just drove on the very edge without touching it at all. So that was perfect. And then as soon as you made it through, the idea is to make sure you carry as much speed as you can on the exit. So basically, you are likely to use the curbing on the exit, but you have to be careful to not go too wide because it's really easy to pick up an off track. Once we're done with turn 1, we're gonna go through turn 2. This must be turn 2. Gonna try to shorten the distance by taking the curb, and then the idea there going into this braking zone is to brake as straight as possible. So as a braking reference, I'd say you brake pretty much between this white line just right there and the next one, which is here. So yeah, between the two, I guess that's pretty accurate. Obviously with the sun going completely on the racing line, usually I'm using a bit of tire max, which is once again not the best idea, but actually that's a good thing because thanks to that you can see that there are other references than something you are used to. So you have the two white lines, so you can just break in between the two. And at the same time, it's a bit harder to see because if you have just one screen, you cannot really see what's going on the right side. But you also have the grass right here, which seems to be matching where I'm actually braking. So maybe this another camera would be better. Wait. Yeah, this one should be fine, I guess. So just gonna go a bit further back. Okay, that's good. So yeah, maybe it does. Yeah, you can see it's actually matching the beginning of the grass on the right and the braking. So yeah, you have different references. You can brake maybe a bit before the middle of the two white line. Then you have the grass on the right. So yeah, that's many references you can use going into this turn 3, this airpin. So as I said, trying to brake straight. So not too deep on the brakes to avoid ABS. So we are braking like 70% or something. And then we're gonna drop to first. We're gonna try to make sure we are going deep on the inside, but not touching that sausage curb as usual to avoid having the car bouncing and stuff. So same as turn 1, perfect. Just driving alongside, but not driving on it or not even on the very edge of it. So the car remains really stable. And out of this one, the idea is to make sure you're not pressing the throttle too early because you don't want to bring the car too far to the left on the exit, but you want to bring it back to the right to prepare the next corner. So as you can see, I'm being quite patient because I'm not now. I could go full power because, to be fair, I could just open the steering. There is plenty of space on the left, but the idea there is to make sure I can bring back the car to the right so then I can prepare this left-hander, which is quite tricky because the car gets quite light on top of it and you don't have a lot of downforce with the GT4, so you cannot just like go really tight through the corner, stay flat out, the car is going to move. So you have to think about this corner. So basically, going into this right under this hairpin, you are preparing the next one, or at least the exit, you are preparing the next corner. So that's why you have to think about the next one when you are approaching the hairpin. So as you can see, back on power, first gear, and then I just bring the car to the right, putting second gear, and as soon as I'm reaching the right hand side of the track before the bridge, then I'm gonna turn to the right. I'm gonna go fully to the inside. As you can see, I'm almost going on the grass. I think I'm touching a bit of grass, but that doesn't make the car unstable. Um, yeah, but I'm barely touching the grass. But yeah, this helps you because actually this means you are putting less steering angle, and then on the exit it means that you are like the angle you are going through the corner actually helps you to get the steering more open while you are on the exit, and especially when you are reaching the top of the crest. So going very wide on the entry um, means that you put most of the steering angle at first, and then as you can see, as soon as I'm reaching the top of the crest, then I'm starting to really open the steering. So right now, putting most of the steering, and then as soon as I'm reaching the top of the crest, so basically when I'm pretty much going on the curbing, I'm starting to open the steering, putting third gear. So the fact that I'm having the steering almost fully open, putting third gear really helps to um, make the car a bit more stable. But even like that, you can see that I need to counter steer a tiny bit because the car remains really light. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. No need to brake obviously going into this one. You just need to lift a bit because obviously staying flat wouldn't work. And yeah, then top of the crest, once you're facing the exit, you can just go fully flat. Now we are heading into the hairpin, so we're gonna brake a bit before the 50 ball, just right at there. Yeah, actually just close, just right after the white line. But actually, I'm braking. You can see that um that's something I already said in the past lap guide. But yeah, you can see that after um this, you cannot really see what's going on after that. Like the it's going quite steep downhill after that. So that's what I'm using as a braking reference. Basically, I'm braking just before it actually goes um, downhill quite steep. So that's the actual braking reference I'm using. I'm not quite using the 50 and the white line, but I just said it because obviously that's the things were a bit more visible, but it's not really precise, and I like having like precise braking references. Usually I don't really like saying, okay, you use this and then you brake like 2 or 3 meters after that. I really like when I have something really precise I can rely on. So just after the 50 and the white line um, is not precise enough for me, so I just use the I won't call it a crest, but it's pretty much as soon as you are reaching this part, and then it goes really steep downhill. So that's what I'm using. So we are not too far away from the 50 and the white line, but that's a reference I prefer because it's a bit more precise to me. Now going on the brakes, quite big braking because obviously with the momentum you are carrying going downhill, you need to slow down the car a bit more. So you need to go a bit deeper on the brakes, but it works quite okay, I would say. So going down to first, obviously going into this one, and yeah, you don't want to go too deep into this one. The main thing you want to do is to make sure you get as close as you can from the inside. I think I went a tiny bit too wide going into this hairpin for this time, but I still managed to get it quite tight and close to the curb at the end. But I think if you're running the curb, it's quite okay. Even though I think too much on the inside, you can still lose a bit of traction because you are, as you can see, I'm already going on power, and even middle of the corner, I'm already going on power. So maybe too deep on the inside, you are going to lose um a bit of traction. But yeah, I could have gone a bit, maybe a few centimeters more to the left, but it was quite okay. Didn't lose too much time. And then on the exit, most important thing is to focus on opening the steering. it's quite wide on the exit. You can use all of the curbing, even with the left wheels, as you can see on the way out. So just make sure you use all of it. Then, as I said, we go through the curb on that kink, and then for this um, double right-handers, we just gonna brake at the beginning of the curbing on the left. So that's what I'm using. It works every time, so you can use this actually. So braking at the beginning of the curbing on the left, as you can see, just braking a tiny bit, bringing the car to the apex, so just a tiny bit of power before reaching the curb on the left. And as soon as I'm reaching the curb on the left, then I will just drop to third, going slightly on the brake. As you can see, you don't brake too much, also because as you can see, it's going uphill, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to brake too much because the car is going to slow down by itself. So yeah, just trying to slow down the car a bit, but at the same time, you are mostly about trying to look for rotation out of the brakes. So that's why you're not braking too much. You're still braking a bit to slow down, but mostly when you are crossing back to the curbing and you are going back on the track, basically just actually before this I don't know how you're supposed to call it, but you see this gray stripe on the left side of the curbing. As soon as you are reaching the end of this, you should be back on the track already, because after that it's a bit too late in my opinion. As soon as you are crossing this back and you are going back on the track, you should only be focusing about rotation and not really slowing down the car. Not saying anymore, but at that point the main focus should only be about um like getting the rotation, like maybe 70% rotation, and the 30% is about keep slowing down the car a tiny bit. But at that point it should be mostly about trying to get the rotation and slowing down the car just a tiny bit. But yeah, at that time, getting the rotation, second gear, and yeah, ideally you just want to go a bit wide on the entry. You don't want to go straight away for the curbing, because then you are just going to struggle with too much steering angle on the way out, and you are going to struggle to get the traction. So just go a tiny bit wider on the entry, so then you put most of the steering angle, and as soon as you are reaching the curb, then you can start to open the steering, press throttle, have the steering fully open. So as you can see, the steering is fully open, and then you can reach out the curbing on the outside. I always prefer to keep the left wheels off the curbing, because it's the TC basically kicks in less. So I just prefer to put the wheels off the curbing. So basically I just drive um off the curb. So I just keep the car off the curb until the curb ends. So then I just rejoin the track as soon as the curb is over. But yeah, to me it just feels better. The TC doesn't kick in, and yeah, it just feels like you are getting a tiny bit of time actually by doing that. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Wide entry, most of the steering angle, then going off the brake as soon as I'm reaching the curbing, and while I'm on the curbing, I will just open the steering, go fully on power, opening the steering, and then avoiding the curb on the exit. And now we are off to the next corner. So this left-hander is fully flat, as you can imagine. Then I'm gonna go middle of the track, and I'm gonna brake as soon as the curb begins on the left hand side. So yeah, back in the days I would brake close to the 100, but now I think it's a bit too late with GT4 update. So you need to brake pretty much at the beginning of the curbing on the left. So that's what we're gonna do. Curbing on the left, going on the brake, middle car in the middle of the track, and as I said during the outlap, you just try to make sure you're not going too quickly to the inside of the track, because basically it's really easy to pick up a lot of understeer going into this right-hander. So you just want to go a tiny bit wider, so then you can keep slowing down the car, and then you can pretty much drop into this last right-hander. So I went slightly wide, but I didn't lose too much time compared to to a line tighter going into this one, because I carried a bit more speed. and the fact that it's a bit wide on the exit actually helps you to carry that speed. So you have pretty much different lines, different things you can do going into this one. Um, but yeah, even if you miss a bit the apex there by not going on the curb, you have to make sure you keep carrying the speed, um, and make good use of the track, especially on the exit. But yeah, as I said, on the brakes, putting the car in the middle of the track, braking at the beginning of the curbing, as you can see. Now on the brakes, then just trying to make sure I don't put the car too deep to the inside. Second gear, releasing the brakes, trying to carry as much speed as I can, then early on throttle. So basically, once I'm reaching the the middle of the corner, pretty much, or even reaching, yeah, pretty much when I'm reaching the middle of the corner, actually, just going on power, trying to open the steering early, thinking about the fact that I can use all of the track on the exit. As you can see, I can put the right wheels on the curbing. Just make sure you are rejoining the track early to prepare the next left-hander, and then you can just stay flat, rejoining the track, keeping it quite a bit to the inside. No need to go too far to the right, and then bringing the car to the curb. And as soon as I'm next to the curb, a few meters before the white line, as you can see, basically I'm staying flat, so the car naturally goes close to the curbing. So basically, I don't really have a proper references. It's pretty much like as soon as the car is next to the curb, then I just go on the brakes, going on the brakes about 70%, and then it will just drop to first, trying to bring the car really close to the yellow sausage. So same thing as what we've done at turn 1 and turn 3, I believe. Really close. I don't touch it. I'm just close to it. So that's what you need. The car remains really stable. And then on this corner, it's very important to keep it quite tight on the exit and open the steering early to get the rotation. Still with first gear up to second. I think I'm going up to third before going into this one. So yeah, up to third, bringing the car to the left, and then as soon as you are arriving at the end of the grass on the left, then you're just gonna go on the brakes. So not braking too hard going into this one, because you don't need to slow down the car that much. Obviously the car is slowing down a bit because you are going on the brakes, but you are also mostly looking about getting some rotation. So yeah, um that's pretty much about it for this corner. Just going on the brakes about 50%. You keep braking a bit before going into the corner because it's going downhill. So obviously you are carrying a bit of speed. But yeah, you are really trying to keep the car tight going into this one because you want to make sure you put the less steering angle possible going on the exit, as the car gets a bit light as well, or at least it doesn't have a crazy amount of grip, especially because you are quite low on gears and not going that fast. So maybe it's because it's the reason why you are not having a lot of grip. So yeah, staying tight helps to really open the steering on the exit, and then you just try to stay close to the curbing, going up to third, and then you just try to bring the car to the curb on the left. You will put the right wheels on the curbing, and then before the curb is ending on the left, you're just gonna dive to the right, and a bit before you can see that we are about to reach the top of the crest. Uh, Actually, before really dropping into the corner. Before that, I'm just gonna really to throttle, go slightly on the brake, and as soon as I'm on the curbing, then I will just go really slightly on power. I'm not going too fast on power, because if you are going too aggressively on power, you'll just send the car into some understeer and you will just lose a lot of time. So you need to be patient, and as soon as the car is really biting and gets the grip, then you can just go and build up the momentum by going on power. But it's important to not press the throttle too early, because then you are picking up understeer and you are just losing a lot of time, because then you have that long straight. So obviously, if you are losing time into this um, fast right-hander, then you're also losing that time into the straight. So that's something you have to think about, really, is not to carry too much speed and not being too greedy going into this this last corner. So just before the top of the crest, releasing the throttle, going slightly on the brake. Okay, we good. We are back. So yeah, just before the top of the crest, just releasing a bit the throttle, going slightly on the brake, but as you can see, it's like nothing. It's just a small amount of braking. And as soon as I reach the top of the crest, then I'm going slightly on throttle, trying to make sure I put the left wheels on the curbing. Just make sure you're not going too deep on the right as well, because the front can just collapse and you get a lot of oversteer all of a sudden. And you can also get an off track, by the way. And as soon as the car is settled and you really feel that the car is stick to the inside, then you can just smash the power, go full throttle, and then if you make the things right, you should not have to lift on the exit. Keep the car close to the curbing and cross the line. And it seems like we're good for the guide around Portimao. Alright everyone, so we're done for today. That was the week 10 lap guide of the Sports Car Challenge by Falcon Tire with the AMG GT4 around this beautiful Portimao. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Coach Dev Academy channel and join the Discord server if you have any questions about all the work we are making every week. And yeah, I see you next week for the week 11. See you next time. Bye bye.